Part 2 of real martial arts versus fantasy movie martial arts. Alright? So, as I was saying, I talked to a lot of Asian people who have come from martial art families and they started at 2. And like I said, most of them by the time they're 11, they're highly skilled, they're black belts. In America, we're soft and we do forms and we break bricks. And in certain Chinese and Japanese and Korean countries, they fight, and they literally fight to be great martial artists. Now, there's not a whole lot of facts that I can prove that on, but from the Asians that I talk to, that's how they get good. Now, as of late, they have schools that generally martial arts they have, and then they also have like because I just learned this today, they have sport universities or whatever. I didn't know that such a thing existed because it doesn't exist in America, but it does exist in other countries. And for the most part, to be honest, we're so behind Asia in the martial art game, it ain't even funny. Okay? So, moving on from that, when I was talking with Mr. Ennis, and every time we had a free-for-all Friday, certain people would spar with me. And it was funny because I'm going to say the same thing that one of my drill sergeants said. Because this is what Mr. Ennis also said. He said, I don't understand how someone who fights as good as you can't do one single solitary form at all. And then I had to explain to him. I said, well, when I first learned martial arts, I was 7 years old. I have an attention span problem, obviously. And that my teacher, who taught for 3 years free, he didn't teach me forms. I never knew forms existed in martial arts until I took Taekwondo. What he taught me was, this is how you hit, this is how you kick, this is how you punch, this is how you kick, this is where you hit, this is where you punch, this is what you do, and that was just freestyle karate. Alright? I took everything he told me from those 3 years, from 7 to 10, and I practiced it from 10 to 15. When I started learning about Kung Fu, I was converting over at the time, and then I turned 16 and learned about Taekwondo. So, I incorporated my karate and Kung Fu. Okay, let me take a step back, because when I started learning about Kung Fu, I was like basically 14. One of my sister's boyfriends was teaching me the difference. And then I did more research on it. And depending on your teacher, depending on the style of Kung Fu, because there's 1,000 styles of Kung Fu, trust me, there's not just one. Wushu and Kung Fu are probably the most noted ones, unless you're doing the animals or unless you're doing Shaolin. But there are many different styles of Kung Fu. And some of the differences between Kung Fu and karate are this big. So for the Kung Fu that I was taught, you strike and you close on impact. Okay? Some of that came out of Wing Chun, some of it came out of Wushu. Okay? Don't ask me which one was which. So when I started karate, it was always punch, counter. When I started Kung Fu, it was boom, open hand until impact, close on impact. I learned later on that that's a lot more difficult in an actual fight than it is to just keep your fucking hands closed. So I took that part out. And then I just started doing Kung Fu and karate together. And I got really good at it, and I added some Wushu to it. Then I started learning Taekwondo. Then I started learning Kempo. As also, I started learning the Karate. So then I learned a little bit of Aikido, because Master Ennis had an Aikido teacher in there. He had a Kempo teacher, but that's not where I learned my Kempo. I learned my Kempo from one of my friend's mom's boyfriends. So, it's a long story. Then, on top of that, when I was working at Kegler's, I was taught shit by Green Beret. So, I'm very well-rounded in a lot of stuff. I'm basically the jack of all trades and the master of none. As you see, when I work my chain, or my nunchucks, or my sticks, the patterns are always the same. I have mastered those. I have yet to master other skills in that. But what I have mastered works. And if it works, then you don't change it. You can adapt, you can add to it, but you don't change what works. Alright? Now, if I use the chain whip move and I throw it around and it doesn't hit a solid object and it comes back and I use it, and you guys seen the videos, and if you haven't, you should go look at them. But if I use what works for me, it's what works for me. And the one thing that I've always been taught by every martial arts teacher that I've ever encountered: don't fight your enemy's fight. Make your enemy fight your fight. That's your key to victory. The second that you start fighting his fight, or the second that you lose your composure and start fighting their fight, you're looking at a quick defeat. So I also tell people that I've learned techniques that they no longer teach. There is a pole technique. There's a video somewhere on my channel. You can find it. I'm in the park. There's a pole technique, and it's basically a start off the tree technique. So here's the secret to that. I learned it from watching the movie Gymkata. Yeah, that's right. I learned it from the movie the same way I learned the tornado kick, because nobody would teach it to me. When I started learning Kempo, the guy taught me the hurricane kick, and I said, no, that's the tornado kick. He said, no, it's the hurricane kick. It's the same damn kick. Okay? Then I seen some stuff from Michael Worth, and I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it, because that's how I learned the tornado kick, from Raphael. So, but what I didn't know that the guys that were doing the Ninja Turtles were actually martial artists. Now, they didn't study the style I studied, but they didn't teach me ninjutsu. I learned a little bit of ninja out of a goddamn handbook. And then I started doing research, and I started practicing. And then I started reading more about how ninjas really, ninjutsu is basically kung fu on a different scale of, we incorporate different weapons. And we carry crickets in our pockets, and we've learned how to play games in the dark. Okay? I have trained blindfolded. I don't recommend it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For movies, it's great. In my movie with me and Josh, I think it was Dragon's Breath, we did a blindfold. We worked that shit out. Trust me, we worked it out. But I had trained blindfold before that, and I've also trained with my hands bound. Because for some odd-ass reason, I just had a feeling that one day I would get in trouble and my hands would be tied either in front of me or behind me, and my ass better learn how to fight. And so that's what I did. I trained with my hands bound this way mostly. I've done it this way twice, but then I had to worry about how do I get out. And you can't untie your hands fast enough when people are swinging their fists at your face. So you're going to be doing a lot of this and trying to get through here. It was almost damn near impossible. But when you bound them in the front, it's easier to use those bindings as weapons. As I was also taught that by the Green Beret. So therefore, you use what works. Alright? So if your hands are ever tied in front of you, you can still fight, and you can use those boundaries as a means of choking your opponent. As me being arrested for driving a stolen car and being antagonized by the brother of the guy who punched me in the face with a skipping style of martial arts that I didn't know existed, he kept on talking to me, and I kept telling him, look, if you get within striking distance, I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to give these cops a reason to really put me in jail. And the cop's like, if you stop threatening him, I was like, no, I'm going to jail tonight, but I'm going to give y'all a reason. And he's like, dude, you know you're in handcuffs. And I looked at him, I said, do you think these handcuffs are more against me or for me? He's like, what does that mean? I said, you don't know me, man. I said, you have no idea what the hell I'm capable of with my hands tied. He's like, oh yeah, what are you going to do with that? I said, well, if I get close enough to you, I'm going to put these handcuffs through your fucking neck. It's just that simple. I'm either going to jump over the top of your back and put them from behind and lock my knee into your back, like so, and your neck's going to be between these handcuffs and my knee. And say, I'm going to kill you. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to stop until these metal bracelets come through your throat. That's a real life scenario. Because, minus the part I just described, I was planning to do that to the guy. Then, luckily, the K9 cop who busted the house next door saved my ass. I didn't go to jail, and they got the cuffs off me. And after we explained everything, and I was like, look, I didn't know the car was stolen. I thought it was my cousin's car. I went through some shit. But I was planning on doing some martial arts to 3 people that really didn't need to have anything like that happen. However, the man hit me twice, cut my fucking eye, and I was bleeding, so I was pissed off, which is, if you go back to the other part of the video where I said, had Steve and I, damn it, I gave up his name. Sorry, Steve. Had he and I got to sparring and he bust my nose like he bust the white kid's nose, I'd had to kill him. I don't like to bleed. Alright? So like I said, in a real fight, I've never bled. That was not a real fight. That was an incident. And the reason why it wasn't a real fight was because I was trapped in the seatbelt. And I couldn't get out the car. So the guy who hit me wherever you are, no hard feelings, now that I know the whole situation. He skipped up on me like this, and he tagged me. Now, the part that I left off was I was driving the car. I pulled into Woodrow's, which is right next to Pt2. It's not there anymore. That place probably got shut down. It became another club, and then it got shut down. So I stopped the car because I almost hit him because he was skipping. And I had never seen a grown black man skip to a fight before. So my guard was completely off. I slammed on the brakes. I threw the car in park. I looked at my cousin and I asked him who this guy, and that's as far as that conversation got before that dude tagged me in the face. And he hit me, and I didn't know I could still take a hit because I hadn't been in a fight since I was in my 20s. When he hit me, I said to myself, did that just happen? And I said out loud, I know you did. Bam! He hit me again. My glasses broke. My hair got cut. They flew on the floor. I looked at him and said, you're fucking dead, buddy. You just fucked up. And I went to get that seatbelt off, and by the grace of God, it wouldn't come loose. And when it finally did come loose, this 400-pound police officer, he sat on me and put his arm under my throat. But he fucked up. He put his gun leg on me. His gun was right at my hand. And he's holding me, and he's like, I got you, son. And I said, dude, look at my left hand. I got you. But you're lucky because I don't want you. I want the son of a bitch that just broke my glasses and cut my eye. I'm sorry for the cussing. And the cop looked at me and said, what are you talking about? I said, I got your gun in my hand, man. He's like, the first thing I noticed when you sat on me did you put your gun leg right on my body, where my hand is. You are pinning me under my neck because if a person can't breathe, they can't hurt you. Except for there's just one problem. I know how to control my breathing because I am a martial artist, which is another thing that martial arts teachers are supposed to teach you. I know how to control my breathing. I also know not to panic when someone grabs me by the fucking neck, because panic makes you breathe faster. Panic makes you exert more energy and lose more air. And as long as you have air going in, you're going to be able to defend yourself. Because when you get the air knocked out of you is what slows you the hell down. It's like, my pinky, if I twitch it, you die. And then he looked down, I said, uh-huh. And I said, now, we can do this, and I'm going to get killed by all these cops out here, but you're going first. I don't want you. I want that asshole to just punch me in the face. And he said, well, you stole the man's car. I said, this is my cousin's car. No, this car's stolen. So I took my hand off his gun, and I put my wrist up. Into the whole night until the big brother started talking shit, and then I threatened to kill him too. So I was going 2 for 2 that night. Long story short, when you are confronted in real life, what you think can happen and what's going to happen is not the same thing. So when you're making a film, you want to make it as realistic as possible, and for that I will tell you guys you definitely want to watch Martial Tribes. But when you are in a real fight, the situation can change on a dime. Most real fights last 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you're both martial artists, I guarantee you a good 10-minute fight until someone gets tired or someone gets lucky. That's pretty much how that works. That's the reality of fighting. You can be the worst martial artist on the planet and beat the best martial artist point blank by whichever one of you guys get that lucky shot in. That's the whole truth of that. If I'm a great martial artist and I can't get through your defenses and you're a wussy-ass martial artist and you catch me sleeping, I'm going to sleep. Simple as that. Now, of course, there's always reputations. Reputations are always something that you should be concerned about, but you should not be worried about. Because if you're worried about losing to someone who's better than you, you're more than likely going to lose. What you tell yourself in battle is generally what's probably going to happen. If you think you're going to lose, you're probably going to lose. I lost a sparring match that my family never let me live down because I said I was going to lose. But then when it got to the real fight, the guy that beat me in the sparring match never showed up. Hadn't seen him since that shit. Not looking forward to seeing him. And now that I'm crippled, it'll probably be the time that he'll decide to pop up and have Negro rage and say, yeah, I heard you talking all that shit on the internet. Now I'm back, buddy. I know you're crippled, so now I know I can take you. And in that case, you must understand 2 things that I'm about to tell you that will never, ever fail you at all. First, a good run is better than a bad stand. And second, this is the most important one. There's a third one that's also important, but this one is the most important one. Never mess with a wounded animal. They are unpredictable, and they will kill you. Now the third one, which is just as important, never mess with a mama bear or a mother of any kind of animal. If the puppy is in trouble, you can believe the mother dog is going to be there to rip you a new one. If it's a bear, if it's a wolverine, if it's a badger, if it's a human being, if you're going to mess with someone whose parent is close by and they are defenseless, then you will have to deal with the parent too. Now, here's my situation on that. I'm just a wounded animal. I don't need no protection from anyone. Alright? People need protection from me. And I say that lovingly because, you don't know what's going to happen until the first swing is thrown. So to be a martial artist, you must know that fighting when you have no choice is real martial arts. Fighting for sport is also real martial arts, but there's a paycheck involved. But when you are fighting just to fight to see if you're better, just spar. Don't try to hurt your opponent. But when you abuse your gifts will probably fail you at some point at some time. I've never abused my martial arts. I've never ever thought that they would ever let me down. I've always relied on them, and I will never give up on them. And they keep me strong and they keep me moving. Now I will tell you this, in all the sparring matches I've lost, most of the people who spar with me have never come back to spar again because they're like, nah, you know what, man, I'm gonna not really take that second route because you're probably gonna win. Now, the only people that I have sparred with that I really wanted to spar with again, besides the asshat that wouldn't come back and fight me for real, guys in my other films, like in my Dragon's Breath, I really liked sparring with Eric Chen, and I really liked sparring with Adrian Cal. And Adrian Cal played my brother, and Eric Chen played one of the bad guys. Eric Chen's awesome, and he shut down my feet. I don't know how the hell he did it, but we were sparring barefooted, and he shut down my feet. And he had my toes locked up like this, and I couldn't undo my toes. I was like, what the hell did you do? So whatever he knows, that's what I want to know, so that I can do that. Now, I've had sparring matches where I've tagged people with like 2 knuckle tags, and I've shut them down. But I never seen him do that when I was throwing my kicks. I'd never seen him do a 2 knuckle strike to my toe. And my toe, first my big toe on my right foot just stopped functioning. And then my left foot, it just stopped functioning. And it's like, what the fuck? And so when I threw the kicks again, my toes just curled up, and I said, okay, we gotta stop. It's like, well, I can't stand on my toes, man. And I can't straighten them out. So my toes was like curled up under my feet a little bit. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. He's like, yeah, I know. I did that because when you spar with your shoes on, your feet are protected. I said, yeah, that's why I spar with my shoes on. He's like, yeah. Now you see what happens when you spar with them off. I said, yeah. Now fix it. So whatever he did fix it. But it was some awesome shit. You live and you learn. And when you spar to learn what you can do and what you can't do in your thing. Now, I totally got off track, so let me get back on track now. Because it is now midnight, and we're 18 minutes in to part 2, and I need to go to bed because I have to work tomorrow. The thing with real fights. Again, I stress this because it's real fights. Real fights don't normally go past 10 minutes. They don't. Especially if they're brutal fights and you guys going in hard, eventually somebody's going to sleep. Where when you're fighting in a movie, you want that fight to last 10 minutes. Now, it also depends on the type of movie. You don't want a 10-minute fight to be the entire movie and take away the depth in the story and stuff like that. Now, that may have been this mistake I made on, on The Path of Ascension. Now, with Dragon's Breath, I didn't have enough people to make the movie that I wanted to make, and by legal obligations, I can't make the movie I want to make because I can't find the 7 people that were in my film. So if Adrian, Cal, and Eric Chen, and Philip, and Lewis, and the Bowie sisters, and Bruce Johnson, and Jay Diz, and myself, and the protagonist whose name I can't remember, if they all want to get together, it's been almost 15 to 20 years since we made the movie. If they want to get together and remake the movie, then I can do that. However, again, I don't have money to pay them, so that's probably not going to happen. And I know they're probably all grown and living their lives and stuff, and I'm sure they still have their contracts, so I can't remake the movie because by contract obligations, I have to buy them out. Alright? So I have to buy them out, so that's not an option. Dragon's Breath is not that, but Fallen Dragons is that. In Dragon's Breath, it's a little bit more convoluted. The waivers I had people sign was just so that I can air this shit on my social media, because we didn't really have social media, but we had MySpace by the time I was filming it. So I was going to air it all on MySpace and show the world who I was. Sadly, that movie got buried under somebody's daddy's shed, and it collapsed out there in Covesville or something. Wherever the hell Bruce lives, that's where that went, and so we never got it back. I do have a copy of the movie somewhere, but I don't know how to get it on the hard drive, and I don't know how to upload it to my YouTube channel. So that kind of knocks that out. But, you know, as far as Guardians of the Earth, I still have all the footage, and I intend on putting it up on my Facebook and my YouTube channel, and we'll go from there. I do have Instagram. I don't know if Instagram can have movies, and if it can, then I will figure out how to put it up on my Instagram too. I will get some help at all this stuff because I'm not a tech person. But anyway, long story short, when you are in a real fight, I'm going to have to make a third video, I'm sorry, because this thing is 25 minutes. Well, 23 minutes and counting. So we're just going to go into the third movie, and I'm going to, god damn it, the third video. When this hits the 30-minute mark, I'm going to stop, and we're going to the third video, and that'll be the final video. So I'll keep going for now. When you're in a real fight, it does help to know what in your environment you can use to combat people. A lot of my sparring matches, I used my tree technique, also against black belts, because they've never seen that shit done before. And I was like, wow, I got this from TV and it works. So yeah, come to find out, I did some research. It's actually a real thing. So the tree technique, which again in China, I'm not sure if it was Shaolin Northern or South, but I know it wasn't Wing Chun. However, you can use it with any style because the whole obstacle deterring your enemy can be used on any style. So the tree technique, this would be your tree. My job is to keep you on this side. So when you throw a punch over this side, I'm over here. I can break your arm using the tree. Same thing over here. I get over this way, I can break your arm. I can get over here, extend the leg. You know, I'm using this as an obstacle. This obstacle is my best friend. When I found out that I could actually use it in sparring matches, because I sparred a lot in the street, and I used it a lot. So when I found out that I could use it, I decided I'm keeping it. As many martial artists will not tell you, and many of us will, if you find something that works, and it works well, you don't put it on the back burner. You keep it close to the vest, because that way you never know when you're going to need it. And truth be told, I would never tell you to put anything on the back burner, except maybe like gymnastics while fighting. You know, if you get to fighting someone who's going to throw a backwards handspring, they just toss the fight to you right there. If you do a foot sweep and they do a back handspring, you need to be able to elevate your foot and come back around. That would look something like this. You're sweeping, so you're coming here. When you get here, you need to be able to come back. Or when you get here, you need to stop and then push kick, because they're throwing a back handspring. And your target is right there. You're going to stop that handspring from ever utilizing. And if no one teaches you that, they probably also shouldn't be teaching martial arts. Okay? Because here's the thing. You tell me one situation besides fighting someone who does lamwata or capoeira where a handspring will actually be necessary. Now, in those old kung fu movies, okay, there was a reason for that. Most of the time, if you turn on a kung fu movie and you're a product of the 70s and the 80s like me, I was born in 73, all through the 70s and 80s and some of the 90s, by the time Van Damme and them started getting famous, I only watched kung fu movies out of China. I didn't watch anything unless it was either Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Gordon Lau, Donnie Yen came in later, but the other guys, and Sonny Chiba. You know, I watched those guys. I didn't watch American martial artists. I watched Asian martial artists until I discovered Chuck Norris and David Carradine. Alright, so then you were less exposed to Asian martial artists, and then you were exposed to more whitish martial artists and stuff like that. Sorry if that was offensive to anybody who is white, but that's how it was. We had Kung Fu Saturday, Captain 20, when WDCA was a channel. We had Captain 20, and every Saturday before my dad and mom got a divorce, we watched Kung Fu Action Theater. When my mom and dad got a divorce, I watched Kung Fu Action Theater by myself in my room on a black and white TV. Now, I didn't know I was sowing the seeds of martial arts in here. Alright? I just thought it was very well entertained, and in most of those movies, and even Gordon Lau and all of them, did backflips to escape, and they did high-flying ninja swords and stuff, and then Big Trouble in Little China came out, and all kinds of other stuff. So if you are a fan of all those, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, here's reality. I've never fought a guy who did a back handspring or a backflip in a fight, because in the reality of you doing a back tuck, I'm kicking you. If you're about to bust a backflip and we're about to go at it, and I take my stand and you take your stand, and you go boom, boom, and you're getting ready to bust a backflip like Jackie Chan or Jet Li or some shit like that, I'm not kicking you because I can't do that. I'm kicking you because I can. I'm kicking you because I'm going to win this fight the second that you drop your eyes off of me. You're done. And as you see in all those old Kung Fu movies, the first thing they say is, never lower your eyes to the enemy, even when you bow. Because many people have died on the battlefield for, as you can see, my eyes are closed. Next thing you know, I'm dead because I wasn't paying attention to the asshole I was bowing to. Those are things you need to know. If you're going to be in a real fight, tornado kicks and stuff, yeah, I recommend them. I'm not going to say that it's impossible for you to use them. What I'm telling you is that they're highly improbable of your success rate. Now, some people, if you watch some boxing videos or some kickboxing videos here on YouTube, you'll find them. And there have been people in the UFC who have nailed people with that. Those are total flukes, I'm telling you. Those are total flukes. Now, if your sequence begins with a tornado kick and you land and you do a spinning back kick or spinning hook kick, and you're fighting someone who knows that exact same shit, they're going to block everything you're throwing. And you're just building up momentum. But if your tornado kick misses in that first sequence, if your tornado kick misses or if any other of those super flashy kicks miss, you're going to sleep. And if you're fighting somebody like me, I'm going to bat that shit out the way. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to drive one home. Now, while you're steadily trying to do all this fancy smancy shit, boom, boom. If I can get one in, I'm getting one in. And it won't be a kick. It'll be the first weapon in my arsenal that I can reach at the time. And when I say weapon in my arsenal, I mean either my hands or my feet. I'm not talking about going into a fight with one of these, because 9 times out of 10, you don't walk around with your short sticks in your hand everywhere. Or your tonfas, or your sais, or your kamas. You don't do that. Shit's illegal. But if you're coming at me and you go left knee and I block it and you throw a left hook. So it's like this, left knee and a hook. If I block, so it'll be block the knee, block the hook. Now I can return with an elbow, but you have a right hand, which means your block would be an elbow. So you're blocking this with this, while I blocked your left knee and your left hook. I blocked them. I blocked them with a crane block, but I also decided I'm going to throw this. So and I'm stepping in. But if you block that elbow, then we're going at it. There's a slim chance that we're going to be going at it for a while if you know the same techniques that I know, or if you know a third of the techniques that I know, or if you know more techniques than I know. There's going to be some blockage happening, which means the fight is going to drag out until one of us gets in that lucky blow. This is the things that you need to be taught if you're going to actually use martial arts in real life. Fights generally don't go more than 5 to 10 minutes. They don't go that long. Because if you get that lucky blow in, let's say you hit me right here, square, solid, and you have heavy hands, and I have a weak jaw, 9 times out of 10, you're going to jack my jaw and I'm going down. My ass, on the other hand, doesn't want that to happen. So I'm going to be blocking everything that you throw at me, and I assume that you're going to block everything that I throw at you. This isn't going to be like in Kickboxer where Van Damme let the guy kick him all up in the ribs and shit, because getting kicked in the ribs in real life fucking hurts. If you're not an actual Thai fighter, hang that shit the fuck up. You know, because getting kicked in the ribs, it hurts. And the human body reacts to pain the same way that every other human body reacts to pain. You're only going to take so much of that stinging. When one of those solid blows hit, you're going to cup. You're going to cup over. And if you cup over at the right spot, my hand's in the right spot, I'm going to utilize the arsenal weapon that's right there at your face. If it's my hand, I'm using it. If it's my knee, I'm using it. And if it's both, boom, you know. I'm trying to end this shit so that you don't end me. I'm praying that when I end it, I end the fight and not your life. And that's the difference maker of fighting someone with the same skill level as you. It's going to be a fucking good fight. The sad part is that it's going to be a good fight that's going to be very painful the next day. We're at the 30-minute mark. 30 minutes and 1 second.